Hey everybody, it's Elizabeth and welcome back to the channel. Welcome to my garden here in Northeast Arkansas. We are in Zone 7 and today I'm bringing you another video in our series, which is all on its own playlist, called something like What Can I Grow This Month in Zone 7. So if you're one of my Zone 7 buddies, hey, let me know where you're at. Drop a comment below about where you're located and how many years have you been gardening. That'd be fun. So again, I'm in Northeast Arkansas. I've been gardening for 7 or 8 years now and I love it. Okay, so we're in May. We're finally in May. I feel like May is what we all of us gardeners wait for all winter and into like early spring, and we're so impatient. And now it's here. And so are my calyx. So for us, our last frost day in Arkansas is, I think, somewhere around the first week of May. It actually might say like third week of April for a lot of people, but here where we are, we almost always have like a oops cold snap the very first weekend in May. Literally like clockwork. Now I'm filming this guy for you guys a week or so late. Sorry about that. So I don't actually recall if we had a late frost this year or not, but anyway, so the most exciting thing about gardening in May is that no matter where you are in Zone 7, your last frost date has passed. So that's super. That means the options are really like wide open of all the different things you can do and get done and get in the ground and transplant and all that great stuff. So there are some crops that you can be, or you may want to still be sowing indoors. And that really is just going to come down to if you feel like it would be beneficial for you, and that is okra, squash, cucumbers, melon, and watermelons. These plants I just named don't love their roots disturbed, and so they don't love to be transplanted. Now, I've transplanted all of these before with success. Also, typically things that are kind of like picky about being transplanted, I will just direct sow, and then you avoid that issue entirely. But if you want to plant them, if for whatever reason you need them, like say your garden area is not prepped yet for in-ground gardening, then you need them to be in containers for a bit. Do them in like a smaller 1-inch thing so that they can, like, you know, they're not starting out in a little like seed pot, and you don't have to worry about potting them up. You can let your seed germinate, you can let it grow for weeks or a month, however long you need, until you can put it in the ground, but you're literally only moving it once. And the reason that's important is because since they don't like their roots bothered, most seedlings that you're starting in little seed pots, you're actually going to pot up once or twice, which means that by the time they go in the ground, you have disturbed their roots 2 to 3 times. So these crops, you could avoid that way. Now, if you have started seeds indoors, let's talk. Then you've got to harden them off before you try to just willy-nilly move them outside. Now, you can move seedlings outside, like literally just set them outside in the full or part sun for a week or 2 until you put them in the garden. Or you could even do like some people and like set your tray out in the sun, full sun, for 2 days, forget all about them. More than likely, you guys, those seedlings are going to die because anything that has been started indoors has began its life in a very sheltered environment. It does not have direct sunlight. It has regular, consistent watering, hopefully. It doesn't have wind unless you're doing artificial wind, which is a great thing for a greenhouse. But and the big thing is like the full sun. It's never physically experienced that on its plant body to have just like full real sun, you know, all on it. So hardening off your plants are to get your little baby plants used to the full sun so they can live, survive, thrive, and be happy. So what you are going to do is you're going to spend 2 weeks of May, hopefully at one time because it's easier to remember, but you're going to bring your plants outside in part sun, not full sun, part sun, or maybe where they get morning sun and then shade the rest of the day. Find a spot. I'm telling you, put thought into this. Find a spot where they'll get 4 to 6 hours of direct sunlight. That's it. And set a reminder on your watch, on your phone, an alarm, whatever you got to do, and bring them babies back in the greenhouse. Only leave them outside, or if you're growing them inside, take them back inside. Put them in their sheltered environment for the rest of the day. So you're going to start out doing this for the first 2 days. You're going to do it for about an hour of direct sunlight. Okay? Put them back in the sheltered environment the rest of the day. Day 3 or 4, you can put it on a calendar. You can plan it all out. Be super OCD. I've done that plenty of times. That works best for me, to be really analytical and like detailed, and that's just the only way I can stick to stuff. So then like day 3 or 4, you're going to leave them out 2 hours, and then you're going to put them back in their sheltered environment rest of the day. You're going to do that for a few days. Okay, then you're going to get up to 4 hours. Whoa, we're leaving them outside in the sun for 4 hours, back into sheltered environment, again, a few days. And then you're going to get to where you can leave them outside all day because they get afternoon shade. So what they're getting in the afternoon is they're not getting the direct sunlight, but they're still getting the outdoor elements. They're getting the wind, but they're not getting beat to death by the sun. So if you do this process and you do, say, 2 or 3 days for each time you add time, you're looking at about-ish maybe 2 weeks, or maybe the last 3 or 4 days of the 2 weeks, you're leaving them outside 24/7, okay? Once you've left them outside 24/7 for, it's not really 24/7, 24 hours a day for, say, 4 days, you're safe to transplant them into your garden in the ground. Whether that's flowers going into landscape, you're going into raised beds, or you're going into in-ground garden. At that point, your seeds are considered hardened off. So they are no longer babies. So they're teenagers now, and they can go out to the garden. Okay, so there's so many wonderful things you can be direct sowing now that it is the month of May. And you can direct sow your beans, okra, all varieties of squash, your corn, southern peas, not really snap peas or sweet peas, those are cold weather crops, but your southern peas, beans, watermelons. Hi, beautiful hummingbird. We are creating an oasis this year, aren't we? Yes, we are. It's just for you. It's just for you and the other ones. The other hummies. That's not the one I see at my office window because it doesn't have a red chest. So another thing that if you're direct sowing that you want to keep in mind, with some crops, you can do succession planting, which is where you plant only like a fourth of what you want to do. So say, for example, you got sweet corn, right? And you're going to plant a sweet corn patch. And you got your area figured out where you want to do it. And you're going to do 200 seeds because you want to have lots of corn, okay? Which, I mean, it takes a lot to make it worth it. But anyway, so that's your goal, is 200. So what you would do is you would plant 50. You get your area for your 200, you're going to do just a quarter of them. You're going to plant 50 seeds. You're going to wait a week. You're going to plant another 50 seeds and wait a week. So over the course of 4 weeks, you will have planted all 200 seeds. And what will happen is when that corn comes up, obviously there'll be varying heights and stuff, but towards the end, when the corn is, the cob is on the stalk and it's like developed, I mean, still they'll have different stages, but the point is that the succession one will be a good 3 weeks ahead of your last succession. So that should give you time to harvest, you know, a quarter or even a third of your corn. Wait a week, give you some time to process it, can it, freeze it, whatever you're doing, before the rest of your stand is ready to be picked. And if you go one season and plant 200 to 400 seeds of corn at the same time, and you're having to harvest and process them all at the same time that all your tomatoes are coming in, all your squash are coming in, and your okra and everything, then you will realize the importance of succession planting, because you don't want to have to be doing that all at the same time. Because although it's fun to be like, look at my bounty, you know, and have all these like huge buckets and 5-gallon buckets and post pictures on Instagram like, look at all this I grew, you know, whatever. It's also super duper stressful to know that you've got to eat give away, can, freeze, chop up, whatever, dry, all that stuff within a day or two where it's no longer fresh. If it's organic, it's going to start going bad. It's going to start getting little bruises and spots on it. You'll have gnats in your kitchen. Anyway, so that experience teaches experienced gardeners the value in succession planting. And you can do that with multiple things, not just corn. You can do that also with okra and beans and squash and watermelons and pumpkins, and just space them out. Like maybe for watermelons and pumpkins, you only do 2 successions, but you give yourself maybe like a 2-week gap so that you'll have half of your watermelons coming ready kind of around the same week or two, and you got a few weeks until you've got more watermelon ready to be eaten. Because who wants to eat or can eat 75 watermelons in a week? Okay, so then out of the things you can direct sow, what I mentioned before were vegetables. You can also direct sow a lot of flowers in May. So we can do sunflowers, zinnias, nasturtiums, marigolds, basil, borage, and other warm weather flowers and herbs. So I actually choose to start a lot of my herbs by seeds indoor because they're so tiny and the seedlings are tiny and just everything about them is like so much smaller. And so I feel like I'll accidentally weed like a basil seedling in the garden if I direct sowed it. But hey, you know, go for it. They can tolerate it right now this time of year, so that's awesome. So if you have cold weather crops in your garden currently, say you did like early spring gardening, or maybe you overwintered some stuff in some raised beds. If you have anything that is a cold weather crop that cannot handle the heat, or you think might die out with the summer heat, start keeping an eye on those plants in May, depending on where you're at, because as temperatures rise, a lot of things like that they'll just die on you. And so some examples of those would be like some leafy greens, some broccolis, like your brassicas, like your broccoli, your cauliflower and stuff. Those, they're sensitive to heat, so if you have them somewhere where they'll get full sun, they're not going to last a lot longer for you. But if they get a lot of shade, you can carry them through May, so that is really situational. But just keep an eye on that. If you've been growing like a lot of greens for a spring like salad garden, amazing. Get to harvesting that stuff because it might not last much longer. I guess one of the last things I want to mention is that if you are growing tomatoes, hostas, or hydrangeas, this is your friendly reminder from an organic gardener to start your preventative fungicide treatment. And that's because those 3 plants are prone to fungal diseases, especially for me. For me here in Arkansas in zone 7, we're very humid in the summertime. So a lot of rain, humidity, moisture, it gets my plants every year. And the only way I have found to the hydrangeas and the hostas, yes, they're just flowers. However, they will get ugly before June if I don't do a preventative fungicide treatment. So I have a reminder on my calendar to actually start now in May, and what I will do is I'll use an organic fungicide and I will spray them. I can't remember if it's once a week or every 2 weeks. It'll say on the back of the bottle. You can use almost any brand. I recommend getting things that are organic, and that will help. And with tomatoes, they don't usually get a fungus as bad until like maybe August, when we're really humid and hot in August, and plants have had time to grow up 4 to 5 feet tall and get real thick and bushy. Then I'm making sure to include them on my spraying. I start out in May spraying my flowers that need it, and then I will spray the tomatoes as time goes by, and they need it. So anyways, I hope that you found this helpful, and I hope that you love my black hollyhock right here behind me just as much as I do. She's so pretty. I don't remember if I still have seeds from this on my Etsy shop or not, or if my Etsy shop is even still open right now. But anyways, it's always linked in the description below if you want to check it out. I don't have a lot of seeds on there, but that's a beauty. She is a beauty, and that is her 4th year growing here, 3rd year flowering, I believe. And she is spreading her babies. Love that. anyways, hope you guys have had a wonderful day. You found this helpful. If you know anyone who is new to gardening or is trying to get into it, share this video with them. Hopefully they will love it. And if you want to stay tuned for some fun organic gardening content throughout the year, go ahead and give me a subscribe. That is primarily what I talk about here on my channel because I freaking love gardening. And yeah, that's it. So anyways, hope you guys have, again, I think I already said, a wonderful day. I'll see you guys in the comments below.